Welcome to another episode of Cocktails with Cousins. I'm Erica.
I'm KD.
And we are here to talk about Married at First Sight, episode 9. They're just living life. Although they were quite drama-filled this episode, I think everybody had a little drama going on. Before we get started, go ahead and hit the like button because we know you're going to like what you hear. Go ahead and subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. And then make sure you share it with everybody else. All right, so let's jump right on into this thing. I'm reading from my notes today. It's on my phone. So let's talk about Noi and Steve. Let me tell you something. Noi is annoying. She is so immature, but she did get herself all the way together this episode because last episode she was packing up her stuff and running out the house. But this episode started off with that little cute scavenger hunt of hers when he came to the park. I'm just trying to figure out, how did he walk all over that park and didn't see her until it was time for him to see her? I ain't buying it.
I ain't buying it either.
Like production, you know good well you got her out the car somewhere and had her come sit on that swing because there's no way possible that he was walking all around and never saw her. But I thought the idea was cute. And it got them to be able to, have a little fun together. But Noi said in this episode, she said that she needs someone to show up for her. Do you think he's not showing up for her?
Absolutely. I think he's showing up. And I thought the scavenger hunt was very thoughtful. She put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
Like she incorporated the memories that they shared. Yeah. And when she was on at the show, she was like, "Oh, I had this plan like 2 weeks ago in advance." And I was like thinking to myself, it's only been weeks since they've known each other.
So how in the world? Maybe she was taking notes on the honeymoon and she was like, I'm gonna do this, but let me keep track of, I don't know, honey. But you know, day 3,
I don't know.
She said she was ready for him on day 3. So maybe.
Yeah.
But what's up with this Steve Thompson? He's been in love like 5 times. So I'm like, Steve, you just going around loving folks and not getting married to them? Like, what's up with that?
Right. I don't know. I mean, he's the type of person, from what he was saying, to fall in love quickly.
Well, and then what it made me think of is that he falls in love quickly, but it seems as if he might have some perfectionism things in there. So maybe that's why he falls in love and then falls out of love. And that's why he's never been engaged, married, whatever the case may be. Because 5 times, I don't know. I didn't date like that. So I can't say if it's possible or not, but it just seems like a lot to me. I don't know.
I don't know. I have thought that I have been in love a couple of times, but that was just lust.
That's what I'm thinking it probably was, but I don't know. But he did tell her on this episode that he loved her, which I thought was very, very sweet of him because that's what she needed.
Yeah.
So he went ahead and said it.
Yeah, Steve is a very sweet guy.
Yeah, he's a good catch. I just hope she doesn't muck this up with all her thinking and overthinking and Sushi having to be in the bed and all of that. But as usual, they were fine and they don't have a lot to say. You know what though? I watch another podcast. And the other podcast was talking about how he wants to work. And so the person who does that podcast is someone who used to work in HR. And she was like that he cannot work, but he needs to have a plan because when you're in that type of job, there's seasons. And so he may need to work when it's an off season and may not be able to get work. And she felt like he was being really, really like kind of up in the air with it, and that he needed to make a plan. So I was like, okay. So he does need to do a little bit more structure when it comes to his working, but I mean, it's all possible, which I mean, that's what we said anyway. Like it makes sense, but I mean, like I said, if if he's trying to work in the summertime and it's something like, education where nobody's really doing anything in the summertime, he might want to have a plan. But other than that, anything else about Noi and Steve? I think that was pretty much the gist of this episode for them. All right, so then let's move along. Let's do Michael and Jasmina next. What's going on with them this week?
So I thought it was cute how he got the dog gifts, even though she thought it was for her. and she said, I would rather have the gifts for the dog anyway. And so I'm a little bit confused on Jasmina.
Me too.
And and so I decided to call her Jasmina because she is mean.
She is.
And so I'm confused. I think it's when she gets flustered with him asking her questions, she goes on this whole thing like, oh, don't talk to me like that. I don't like your tone.
Yeah.
And I said we need to wait and hear his tone of voice. But then I heard it and it was nothing.
Right. It was absolutely nothing. And I couldn't understand, like, he genuinely was asking her, like, hey, we have a tough time communicating. How can I communicate with you effectively? And she like went to like 75, 100. I was like, girl, yeah, asking you for what you want. So
I don't get it.
I don't either.
I don't if it's something that the audience is not getting. I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah, I think what you said is like spot on. Like, as long as the conversation is going her way, she's fine. Whenever she feels like the conversation is not going her way, that's when he's being disrespectful to her, having a tone with her. Because even in that moment, like, they were just sitting there chilling. He had gotten all the gifts for the dog. She had opened them up. And then the next thing you know, I was like, hold on, wait, did I miss something? Like, because that's when she jumped into that, oh, your tone is not right. You need to calm down or whatever. And I'm like, hold on, let me rewind. So I rewinded. I was like, nope, she just went from 0 to 100 in no time flat for no reason. So I think that's what it is. I think that she just, I just think that she just doesn't like it when she might be wrong. I mean, other than that, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. I like Michael's sense of humor because when they were out, I don't know if they were paintball fighting or whatever, when they met up with the guy. Yeah. And he said that that Steve hit him a couple of times and he was questioning his friendship with Steve. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. My thing was, so with him and her, I was very glad to see him be open and vulnerable about like everything that he had when he was telling his story. I was like, sir, like that is a lot to process. And how old was he when he said that happened? Like 6 or 7? Like that was a whole bunch. I can't remember the age. I might be making up a number.
Middle school.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, either way.
So not 6.
But maybe 6th or 7th grade.
Right.
But still, like, okay, so they had to actually sit there and watch his brother pass away. That was too much for me. And I thought that was very sad. It was a very sad circumstance. And I can see why he's so realistic, because you never know when something like that is going to happen. And so if he's had to experience that with many family members, there's no reason, there's no telling why he, well, it is a telling. Like, it makes sense that he's guarded like he is, and has to open up. I Jim was cute. What did you think about that? Her JYM.
Yeah, I thought it was cute. She's obviously not a personal trainer, but and I thought she was being funny. And I like him or her when they are being silly.
Yeah, like they're just being natural and being themselves, and nobody has their guard up or whatever. That he was being vulnerable, but she still has yet to show any vulnerability.
Right. And did you catch that? And how Desmina said, "Thank you for being vulnerable," but you haven't been vulnerable.
Yeah, I was like, so tell your story, because like you have a story too. I mean, you living with your bonus mom, like you're not living with your real mom, so you have a story to tell. Like I wish you would have used that opportunity to be like, oh, and I know it's not what you've been through, but let me tell you about how I ended up with, my bonus mom and my bonus dad, I guess he would be. So I mean, I don't know. She's not opening up. Like, you heard her go faster.
Yeah, I said she must be an upper elementary teacher, because ain't no way she's teaching kindergartners with her tone.
Oh my God, with her coldness. Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, hold on, wait. Interesting though. Or maybe she's like a connections teacher or a specials teacher, but then that's even worse because she teaches all grade levels.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe she's more warm and fuzzy in the classroom.
I hope so. Because she has a dry sense of humor, and little kids won't get that.
No, they won't. She needs to teach like fifth graders, and yeah, some of them would catch her jokes. She's been in love 3 or 4 times. I wonder how that looked.
Yeah. Because in a relationship that was close to home, so yeah, I buy it.
Yeah, I don't know either. He said, what did he say? He said he had possibly been in love, but he wasn't exactly sure. I hope that they continue to
one in a possible.
One in a possible. I was like, okay, I have an impossible, but I was like, did he say one? But yeah, just hope that they can go ahead.
When he's in high school.
Oh, that's not possible. Right. It's possible. I mean, I say that, but I mean, it's possible, but possibly. Right. But anywho, anything else about them?
Nope.
I think that's it. All right, let's move on to Mark the Shark and Lindsay. I just still don't understand how they went from 100 last week back down to anything worthwhile. Although that they started off the scene, I mean, that you could have cut the tension with the knife in that first scene that they were in.
He was answering his questions all with one word answers while they were eating. It was so awkward.
And what was that? What weren't they eating, like the steak at that time? And she was like, it's a little bit more cooked than what I like or whatever. And I was like, I was like, okay, we got a sentence there. Come on, let's do a little bit more. But I mean, she started talking about, what she needed in a relationship. She wanted somebody to be present, consistent, and caring. She talked about that he was being super negative and she's been absorbing his negativity. I was like,
right. And really delusional when she was saying all this.
She is. I don't know what makes her think that she is giving off anything other than negative. I mean, she told the man last week he had small balls and a small bank account. Like, I mean, how do you come back from that? And then this week it was, he was being negative. And he said,
right. I felt like Mark articulated his thoughts very well when it comes to Lindsay, and was like, Lindsay is condescending. And I was like, I totally get it.
Yeah, because when she you remember when they were with Pastor Cal and he basically gave her everything how he was feeling, and she was like, it was one big on run-on sentence. And I'm like, ma'am, you heard what that man said. You doing too much, and he needs you to stop doing it. I did say that they both communicate well when they're both level-minded. When she's mad, she doesn't communicate well. He seems to, like you said, gather his thoughts well regardless, but when they are on the same page, like, they look cute together.
Yeah.
But it was interesting though. Did you hear Mark say that he has left people and then tried to get back with them after he saw what was going on with the other person? I was like, so you're a grass is greener on the other side type person, and then when you get over there and the grass is dormant, you like, hold on, wait, let me come back into the house because it's cold out. Yeah. Like, I that's interesting. So I want trying to think about a partner that he's been with that's not Lindsay, because that's not going well. Oh goodness. And she keeps insisting that his life is a mess.
I just need Lindsay to take a look in the mirror and see what she is bringing to the table.
Exactly.
Because his life was the mess until she got in it.
Yeah. I mean, like, she is doing the most. And the situation with the bed bugs and all that, like, it sounds like it came up like maybe right before the wedding. And so then it had to be handled after the wedding. But that's a freak of nature type thing. Like, I mean, he could have bought went to the thrift store and bought a sweater from there and got bed bugs that way. I mean, it's so random on how you get bed bugs. Like, you can't, you just can't whatchamacallit. So I don't know. She says she's been bending over backwards for him though. Do you think that she's been doing that?
No. And I heard her say she's been walking on eggshells or something to that extent around him. She ain't been walking on nothing.
No.
She's been telling it how it is.
Exactly. Screaming and shouting it, and whatever the case may be. Going to the girls' trip, the girls' day, I guess it was. I was very proud of how her and Katina communicated with each other, because I thought that was about to be a whole hot mess.
Didn't Katina say that they don't talk off camera or only on camera?
She said something to the effect of that, but I don't remember which one. But they haven't been talking on camera either, though.
Oh, okay.
Like, if you,
so I thought that they she said only talk to me on camera, nothing else.
Well, she may have, but they weren't even talking, last week they weren't even talking on camera. They were just arguing with each other, or her telling her, like she always does, like, girl, not to say nothing to me. So she may have said that, but they were actually cordial on this event. I thought was different.
Yeah, Lindsay's always cordial with her. Katina is the one who was like, you can't talk to me.
Exactly. Well, I don't know. She got a look, because she has a little immaturity, at least in that respect. She has a little bit of immaturity in her about it, but they got along well or whatever on that episode. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I just think Lindsay needs to continue to listen to Mark, because if she can listen to him and actually try to replicate some of the things that he's asking for, I think they'll be fine. But as long as she keeps on being loud and boisterous, like, they're not going to get anywhere. Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to Katina and Olajuwon, because there's much to be said about them. Look, what's your thoughts?
Okay. Do you get the notion that Olajuwon was just mad that Katina went to sleep on him and he had to clean up the apartment after the The housewoman.
I don't know. Like, I was so confused by him this episode. Like, I know he was mad about that sleeping because he said he can't go to sleep with a house dirty. And I understand that notion.
Right.
I guess she said she was tired.
Right. And so maybe that had been drinking and she had drunk too many and she was like, oh, I'm just cleaning up tomorrow. But I do understand that Olajuwon has a house.
He does.
And so, yeah. And so Katina, I don't know if she was living at home with her mama or whatever.
I can't remember.
And when you have your own space, you take pride in it.
Yeah. This is
so I don't know if she has really lived on her own and been had that much responsibility. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and that's why I was kind of confused by him. Like, I got his gist, but without the full context of like what's been going on, he just came across as an ass. Like, some of the things saying, I was like, sir, but I like in that, like when he was explaining it with the boys, I think that's when he explained it when they were all hanging out together. It made sense. Like you said, it was more of, I have a house, I've done some things on my own, I'm proud of those things, and she's not reciprocating that. So I kind of understood in that sense, but this
but came off as if he was bitching about everything.
It did. And then when they had that disagreement later on, it just went completely downhill. I was like, sir, you are doing too much.
But he was on the right path. He just did not have the right words to say to her, because ain't no man fixing to tell me how to be a woman.
Exactly. And a wife. Like, sir, you don't get that privilege.
And he was romanticizing marriage, on what marriage is.
And the thing about it is, he took knowledge and note of the fact that she's currently not working. So I'm guessing she's on some type of leave from work while she's recording this. And he was like, well, when she has to start working, she's going to be on trains and trolleys. And then she has to come home and cook. And I'm like, but why does she have to come home and cook? Like, if you're already there, he said he worked nights. If she's coming home, makes sense to me that you would get up and have dinner waiting for her, because you're about to leave out the house anyway. I didn't understand, but he said that a few times. I said wife for him equals servant. That's what he thinks he got. He got him a servant.
And I said, he sounded like a whole fool. When he said that he's trying to make sure she's grounded. Who?
Yeah, exactly.
Who are you to make sure that somebody else is grounded? You worry about yourself.
Exactly. And then even he takes the perspective of, we're married, and so I want to make sure that you would be okay if something happened. That's different than what he was actually talking about. Like, he's talking about cooking, cleaning, whatever the case may be, household chores. He's not talking about making sure that you got enough money in the bank to survive or maintain the taxes on my house or nothing like that. Like, that wasn't what he was saying. He was like, I want to make sure that you can cook. She like, look, I've been doing just fine eating without you. Like, why all of a sudden is it vital that I have to be able to cook and clean for you? Like, that don't make no sense. I was getting all the way turned off with him this episode. Right. Oh no, we cannot talk about them if we don't talk about when he said love is not on the table at all for him. Did you hear him fix his mouth to say that? When they was answering those questions, he said it's not on the table. You have to meet his standards. connect what look, I don't even know what I done wrote. He said you got to meet his standards for love to even get on the table. And I was like, is this an audition? Did he think he must think he on The Bachelor or something? Like, y'all both chosen, y'all married. She not trying out. Like, stop it.
On the after show, when Lindsay was pretty much saying that he has no right to say that, especially to his wife.
Yeah.
Katina, Jasmina commented on the fact that Katina has been through so much worse than that, and Lindsay was like, it doesn't matter what she's been through worse than that. He's her husband. Right. She shouldn't have to put up with that. And Jasmina was like, did I say that she had to put up with that? And they were going back and forth. And I was like, see, there goes Jasmina.
Yeah, just being mean just because I mean, she was right. Like, nobody should have to put up with that, even if they've dealt with worse. I mean, that makes me feel even worse for her. Like, I feel like she has to learn how to stick up for herself. Like, she, to me, is like jumping through hoops with him. And the first time he would have said, you got to prove yourself to me as a woman or something like that, I'd have been like, who are you talking to? But she kind of has perpetuated that. And so as a result, he keeps like making her feel like she's trying out. I don't know. Like, I think it's crazy. And he said something about her lack of emotion. And she was like, well, you know, she did mention that she had been through some different things and that she just learned not to cry. But to me, that reads, you're going to need some therapy, honey, because you should be able to show some emotion. What it is that you are saying. Anything else about them other than he need to get his whole life and stop talking about what's the definition of a wife and all that foolery and nonsense?
I think that we got it.
Okay. And then, okay, let's talk about these girl day out, boy day out thing, or man thing out. I guess boy is kind of what you call it. Anywho, I thought that what Noi said when they were out together, when she said, when you marry a person, you marry their trauma, their inner child, and their values and tradition. I thought that was kind of profound for our little immature girl.
When she was saying that, she was, I don't know if she said this, but she was telling the girls the story about how she packed her stuff and left the house and didn't come back to the next day. And Steve sat down and talked to her, and his voice was trembling. And she's like, oh, he really loves me. I'm like,
oh, like that's what it took for you to realize that you was wrong? I mean, I don't know. She was definitely, but I was like, girl, like, I'm gonna need you to not pack up sushi and run every time y'all get into some argument about some doggone noodles of all things. Well, go ahead. Oh, you know what we missed about Olajuwon? In that boys' day, he was talking about how he was babying her. And I was like, sir, babying her? Like, you must think she's a kid or something.
I didn't hear that, but I won't doubt it.
Yeah. That it to me, I was just like, but and then Michael was hitting it out of the park because he gave some good advice to him about speaking up, and he needs to follow through with you know, just different things or whatever, but he gave them good advice. Go ahead.
About Olajuwon and Katina, well, I thought they were having sex, but they must not be having sex, because why would he with already tipsy Katina. Instead, he opted to clean up the apartment.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe they aren't. I was thinking the same thing too. I thought that they were having sex too, but maybe they aren't. I don't know. Like, maybe he needs to have some sex so he can calm down.
Right.
Especially since Pastor Cal told him what he told him last week. It was cute to see that all of them kind of got the perspective of, oh, we are all experiencing the same thing. I think that was the whole like purpose of, you know, them kind of hanging out. And I don't know that we get to see that every season when they hang out, because usually it's so much drama going on that you can't just see them like having real bonding moments. So it was nice to hear, to, you know, to see that they were having those bonding moments. But let's move on to these previews, honey, because if things weren't messy this week, they surely are going to be messy next week. Jasmina said, my vagina is not getting wet for you. I was like, well then. How do you come back from that? Poor Michael.
I hope it was taken out of context, and I hope Michael wasn't there when she said that.
Right. I hope that her and Dr. Viviana were like just chit-chatting amongst themselves, because whoo, that would be hard to sit there and listen to right there in the whatchamacallit. And then Noi is a little freak. She told something, we should have sex in a public place. I'm like, girl, he just told you last week that he loved you. Why you gotta be going all like crazy in there so quickly? I was like, girl, come on. What stood out to you?
But maybe they
go ahead.
Sex since the honeymoon, and she felt the oh, that must be why she felt like she was falling in love with him so quick.
Possibly. I mean, you know, they on this show they've gotten to the point where they don't kiss and tell, so they very much could have and maybe that's why I don't know, because it still doesn't explain why she got so mad about the noodles. I'm trying to redeem her for that, but there ain't no redeeming her for that. Let's see what else happened in those previews for next week.
Katina said something like she feels, I don't quote me on this, but I got she said that she feels scared to talk to Elijah.
Katina, I mean, I'd be scared to talk to him too. He seems a little abrasive.
And she was crying.
That should be interesting. And it seems like they're getting a visit from an expert next week, so maybe they can help them kind of work through those things, because they need a little bit of help. Let's see. Lindsay was talking about, I thought he could handle me, but he can't. All these comments are sexual. Do you think they intended for all of these cuts to be sexual in nature?
Yes.
I'm hoping that's about her personality.
Yeah.
But she did tell him he had small balls. So, I mean, it's up in the air. It could be, you know, it could be either or. Anything else that stood out to you about next week?
No.
Yeah, me either. Those were the only notes that I kind of hit. So we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed, and then share us with other people. We'll be back next week. We'll be talking about Married at First Sight, the next episode. We'll see what's going on with these previews. Until then, bye.